What's up, guys? So today's the day before Thanksgiving, and I don't really know how long this episode's going to go. We're just going to kind of play it by ear, and it might be kind of a short episode. There's some things on my mind, some things I think we need to talk about, and then we will be back with interesting guests after the holidays. Holiday season's always a little slow, trying to get people to travel and traveling myself, getting out of town, all that stuff that comes along with podcasting. And it's also because, like I always say, I prefer to share energy with people, be in the room with them, look them in the eyes. I don't like the Zoom shit. So instead of booking Zooms because they're convenient, I would rather give you guys solo episodes. And that's how I balance between not being able to travel as much and bring you guys cool guests. We have some guests coming down the pipe. Joe Kent, who you guys, I don't know if you remember, he did a show maybe it's been a fucking year now. And he was a congressional candidate, and the votes are still being counted here in Washington State. He's down, I want to say like 1,000 or something, but there are more ballots that have not been counted than he is behind. So we still have hope for him. That guy's been a homie of mine for a long time. We were in the Ranger Regiment together, basically when we were children. And then he ended up serving a full career in special operations. His wife tragically was killed in Syria, and now he got out of the military as a result of that because they have 2 young boys together, and he felt that he could no longer put the boys through that, especially with the potential of what you do in the special operations community, and the potential for losing the other parent still existed. So he left that lifestyle behind, and then he pursued a run into Congress. And I'm telling you, he is the fucking right person for the job. Will it happen? I don't know, because we all know that the wrong people for the job regularly get fucking elected and are dictating the trajectory of this country. And so, the whole election thing is crazy. We saw how that played out. A lot of people were saying red wave. And, we certainly made some gains. And when I say we, I don't identify as a Republican, but I am a conservative and I do lean right. And I would guess that most of the people who listen to the show are probably of that same mindset. And we made some gains, but I don't think it was what everybody was hoping for. But the reality of it is, man, are we even in control of our elections at this point? I mean, we saw what happened in Brazil. The election fraud thing, for me to sit here and say, oh, this election was stolen, that election was stolen. The truth is, I don't have the facts. Most of you guys probably don't either, but I do have intuition. We talk about intuition on the show a lot, and something feels off with a lot of these elections. And if something feels off, there's probably a reason behind that. Now, for the people that are just saying the elections are rigged, fuck it, I'm not participating anymore. I listen to Andy Frisella talk about this, and I think it's an important thing to think about, that even if they are rigged, even if they are doing things that are like pulling strings behind closed doors and ballot harvesting and having fucking deceased people vote and all the shit that they do, right? The truth of that is, if the election is 49-51 and they want to swing it 1.5% into their direction, that's going to be a lot easier to cheat 1.5% as opposed to cheating 15% or 20%. Because I think a lot more of Americans are fucking sick of the bullshit that's going on than we are led to believe. And so it is important for us to stay in the fight. It is important for us to go out there, vote, and try and exercise our rights to democracy, even if we feel like there's bullshit afoot. And I think that that's something that is important to remember. I've been saying it since the show's inception. It's by the ballot or it's by the bullet. And if we can do it by the ballot, cool. But option 2 is always on the table. And I may be a crazy motherfucker, but we'll probably see that option exercised in our lifetimes if shit doesn't change. And that's just my reality. That's a truth that I see. And so, I'm not going to go too hard onto politics today. There's a couple things I wanted to touch on that we'll talk about, but I have been very, very open with the listeners of this podcast. And I think that's one thing that makes this podcast unique. I say it regularly. I'm not your guru. I'm not a life coach. I'm not telling you how to live. I'm not telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I have things that I've experienced. I have things and tools and techniques and procedures that I implement into my own life that I find beneficial, and I share those things. And I think a lot of the conclusions that I've drawn that have been beneficial to my life that I share with you guys through this show have shown to be beneficial to other people's lives. And so, like the microdosing adversity, doing hard things, training jiu-jitsu, getting out of your comfort zone, focusing on your health, building capabilities, having a strong circle of people, all the things that we regularly talk about on the show, I'm very open with. But there's another side of me that I have talked about on several occasions. I brought it up on the show, and I'm compelled to speak about it today because I don't want you guys looking at me like I am a guru, like I am a guy that has all the answers. I want you looking at me as another human being walking the path of life, and I just happen to be the guy with a microphone and an audience that seems to be growing every day. And so one thing that we've talked about quite a bit on the show is the dark side of life, depression, suicidal ideations, especially as it relates to the veterans community and the law enforcement community. We've taken it a step further. We've done plenty of episodes on plant medicines and different things that can help heal those ailments that we have in our psychology from the paths that we've walked. Now, as a veteran, as someone that deployed overseas 14 different occasions, seen extreme violence up close. I've had a lot of friends commit suicide in the last 4 years. I'm up to 6 now. 6 guys that were on my teams that I served with in different capacities have committed suicide in the last 3 to 4 years. And those ideologies are something that I shared myself for a period of time. And I've been open with that on the show. And for those of you guys that are new, the podcast grows all the time. We're getting a lot more downloads per month. There might be a lot of people listening right now that haven't walked that journey with me. Maybe you haven't listened to all 127 episodes yet. So I'm going to unpack that a little bit with this show. But the reason I want to bring it up today is because after years and years of feeling good, feeling like I'm on a high vibration, feeling like those thoughts and those ideations were in my past, the darkness returned. And it wasn't for a long period of time. And it wasn't something that I was completely out of control. It wasn't something that consumed me, or probably not even something that I think could have manifested into reality. But my brain went back to that place for a little bit, and I revisited that, and it fucking scared me. And that's why I want to talk to you guys about it today, because if that's who you are, if that's part of your existence, if that's part of your life, and you've bounced back and forth between I'm good, I'm fucked, I'm good, I'm fucked, I think it's necessary to examine that a little bit, and I'm going to be open with it because I think a lot more people are there than we like to admit. We always want to show our strengths on Instagram and my podcasts and social media, or even when we're hanging out. Like it's cool and it's fun to project your power and your strength and the things you're good at and the things that people look at you and say, wow, man, I wish I could do that, because those are the things that inspire people to get better. I like surrounding myself with people that do hold power and hold strengths. And I want to look at them and I want to say, man, I can do that better. I can do this better. And I think that's why we all tend to share those things and be open about it and post about it. But the equal and opposite side of that is life is a dichotomy. Without hot, you can't have cold. Without high, you can't have low. There is peaks and valleys. And as we navigate this life, sometimes we step off into those valleys. And it's important to examine those too, because there's a lot of people right now listening that are in those valleys, and they're looking for the answers to step out of those, to crawl out of those valleys. And some of them are so fucking far down there on their hands and knees and they're crawling. And I want to be there for those people just as well. It doesn't have to be about chasing elite fitness or getting your black belt in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it's just taking that first step from that dark place you're stuck in and walking towards the light. But the fucking light can be so far away sometimes. And so I'm going to unpack that a little bit. We got some more shit to kind of touch up on, some administrative stuff. And then that's going to be the show today. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. My wife's downstairs cooking with my daughters, getting everything ready. And I'm looking forward to celebrating the holidays with my family. So let's go into it a little bit. I'll tell you this. We went to Mexico last week, and we went to Mexico with several groups of friends, and it's an annual trip. And it's something that we do to decompress, just like everybody. Why the fuck do you go on vacation? To get away from real life and kind of just put your mind in almost like on autopilot. It's an all-inclusive resort that we stay at. All the food, all the drinks, all the marijuana, like everything is just fucking, I'm going to veg out in the sun and I'm going to swim and I'm going to just not think about all the stressors of life. For me, what I'm finding is it's actually not good. And I don't think that I'm going to vacation like that much more in the future. Because when I sit on the beach and I have nothing to do except smoke a joint and drink a beer, what I find is after a couple days, man, I don't feel like I'm operating on a very high level. I feel like it diminishes my frequency a little bit. On one hand, you're getting that rest and relaxation, but on the other hand, I'm just not being engaged in the way that I like to be engaged. To top it off, I was in Cabo, and I'll never go back to Cabo. Like Boucher used to say, man, who have been there? That place a fucking suck. Never go. There's my Portuguese accent impersonation. But, man, they said that we couldn't go in the ocean. It's like, motherfucker, why do you think I'm on a tropical beach? Why do you think I paid to be on vacation and not go in the ocean? And if you'd go in the ocean, these little security guards would come out and be like, out, get out. And it was just frustrating because it's like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? So I was in Mexico for a week and I went swimming once. That's a problem for me. Living in Seattle, where it's frozen right now, man, I wanted to be in the ocean the whole time. And the thing is, I don't think they're being dicks. They're just used to fat, weak Americans coming down there and getting sucked out in these undertows and these riptides. And so they've just said, you know what? No swimming anymore. We have 3 pools you can swim in. But I don't want to swim in a pool with a bunch of fucking fat, drunk Americans. I want to swim in the ocean and be surrounded by fish and wildlife and reefs and shit like that. That's me, man. And so I took a boat out one day and I did exactly that. I got far enough offshore or to where a spot that is suitable for swimming, and man, it recharged me. And I was like, fuck, this is what I want to be doing on vacation. Every minute of every day, surrounded by fish, doing dives and just fucking seeing all of this fucking wildlife interacting with each other. That's what it's about. I don't get that up here. So that's what I wanted. But that's neither here nor there. I think next year we're going to look at going to the other side of Mexico, going to the Cancun side. And I hear there's some phenomenal scuba diving, phenomenal snorkeling. And I'm just going to gear the vacations a little more towards what suits me. But the reason that I'm bringing this vacation up is because I went with my wife and, our friend Angie was with us. And those are the 2 most important women in my life. And we have a very, very strong bond and a great friendship, and we have for years, and we've been doing life together forever. You guys have heard me refer to my boys on the show a lot, and those are her sons, and I took them under my wing and really, really enjoyed having a very informative and powerful role in helping them become young men, which they both are now. And so, and I'm not going to get into all the personal problems, but let's just say we had an argument and we had a fight and it didn't go well. And before we knew it, we realized like, man, I'm incorporating alcohol. I'm incorporating negative vibes. I'm not feeling good anymore. And now I'm fighting with the people that I literally love more than my own life. And, it just felt super, super fucking dark, and it got to me. Now, why else did it get to me? Probably because I drank a whole bottle of alcohol. And, I think I make wise choices more often than not, but I'm a human being. And sometimes when you drink too much alcohol and then you have an emotionally charged conversation, I think that tends to exasperate how you feel. So, and I think that's alcohol in general, right? Alcohol doesn't turn you into somebody that you're not. In my experience, what alcohol does is it exasperates who you are. It It makes your feelings and your emotions, good or bad, more powerful and more present and more transparent. So people see you for who you are. You say things that you may not normally say. You do things that you may not normally do. But I don't think you say and do things that are necessarily out of character. I think you just say and do things that are actually within your character that you would usually be more reserved and hold inside of you. And so I go up to my balcony. We're on the 7th floor. And I was like, man, I was just real fucking dark and pretty out of line with people that I really, really love. And I walked over to the edge and I looked down, and I don't know what 7 stories is, 80 feet or something. It was fucking high. And there's a cement walkway at the bottom. And I thought, fuck, man, that's kind of feeling appealing again. This darkness that I feel, I just hurt people that I truly love. I said things that I shouldn't have said. Just fucking end it. And I stepped back right away. I caught myself and I was like, what the fuck are you thinking? Why did you go there? I was upset for myself for even going there, because I thought that was something that I had defeated years ago. Now I'll say this, guys, the way in which I defeated it years ago, and we're going to get into that next, I would say when I was facing that it was a very, very serious potential reality for me. There are days that I sat in my car with my gun in my mouth, begging myself to pull the trigger because I hated the life that I was currently living. I wasn't expressing myself to who I really was. I wasn't following my passions. I wasn't living for me. I didn't feel loved. I was in debt. All the things that life fucking throws at you were compounding on me. And this was back in, 2016, okay? And I went days and weeks and months not feeling loved and not feeling happy. And guys, I'm here to tell you, you can only feel that way for so long before you start looking for an out. Now, there are a lot of very, very strong men and women. It's just a human being thing that have arrived at this point in their life at some point and said, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I want to be out. So I've never looked at suicidal ideations as a cop-out or weakness. To tell you the truth, there was a time in my life when I was mad that I didn't have the strength to pull the trigger. I was afraid. I was too afraid to do the job that I wanted myself to do. And, wow, walking through that journey, there was a lot of counseling involved. There was a lot of darkness. There were certain people that came into my life that really helped pull me out of that really, really, really dark place that I thought there was no way out of. I was sure back in 2016 that I would keep spiraling farther and farther until the demons finally got me. And that was kind of the conclusion that I drew in my life back then. And so one of the people that really helped me out of that hole was actually Angie. And that was a very powerful experience to finally be brought into this family that functions from a place of love and happiness and peace. And they live in a godly manner, and they hold each other accountable. And it was just things that I'd never experienced before. And it was a strange dynamic because I was the one going through the shit, but they absorbed me and my wife together, and they brought us under their wing and just really helped me understand the good side of life, because I'd lost touch with what the good side of life looked like. And man, we formed a bond that is strong to this day. That's why we were on vacation together. But as soon as things went dark down there in Mexico, as soon as we had just a moment in time where a rift formed, I walked up to that balcony and I looked down at that patch of cement and I thought, if you aim for that cement and you go head first, you should be able to hit it. And then the next thought is, but what if you miss and hit the grass? If that happens, are you going to be a fucking paraplegic the rest of your life? And then I got a hold of myself and I said, bro, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Why? And here's the thing, guys. Again, substances and alcohol playing a fucking part in this, probably not a good combination. So my advice to you, do not get in emotionally charged situations when you're partaking in those things, right? But I was able to pull myself back and say, bro, what the fuck are you doing? And immediately I started thinking about the tools that I used back in 2016. And one of the things that my counselor told me was, when you're having suicidal ideations, you are in the center of a storm. You are in the center of a black cloud. And you turn 360 degrees. Everywhere you look is storming and it's darkness. And when you're in that cloud and you're looking for the way out and you can't see one, you tell yourself a lie that there is no way out and that you're stuck in it and that you're never going to be able to escape it. But if you allow yourself to believe that lie, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you have to tell yourself is, I'm in this cloud. It's a moment in time. Things aren't good right now. But if I start pushing forward, I will be able to get to the edge of the storm. And eventually, these clouds are going to break and the sun's going to shine on me again. And once you've been through that cycle enough times, I think you start to realize, okay, I know what this is like. I've been here before. And we're going to figure out what direction we're going to fucking start walking. And we're going to shoot an azimuth and we're going to follow it and we're going to get out of this storm. Until you've done that a time or two, I think that's a hard conclusion to come to. And I've walked that path enough to where as soon as I felt fucked up like that, I was able to say, hey, bro, I don't know why your brain is doing this to yourself. I don't know why you've even allowed those thoughts to creep in. I don't know where they came from. I don't know what fucking manifested that, but check it out. You're wrong right now in thinking that this is even a viable solution or even an acceptable thought to have in your head. And you need to think about that when you do decide to fucking walk through the storm, eventually you'll get through it and the sun will shine on you again. And I was able to fucking have that thought process almost in real time and almost in a manner that made me think like, dude, you still do possess the fucking tools and the capabilities that were taught to you years ago to help you navigate these really, really, really dark fucking thoughts that come into your head. Now, the equal and opposite side of that is it freaked me out because I hadn't had those thoughts in probably, if I had to be honest with myself, probably 4 or 5 years. It's not certainly since I got fired and since I started the podcast and since my business blew up and everything's been going good, right? It's like fucking life has been rad lately. But the reason I think this was good for me to experience is because good only lasts so long, guys. There is no trajectory that is just uphill from here on out. And it's just going to be good and then fucking better and better and better until you're fucking 75 and then you die. That's not how it fucking works. There's peaks and valleys along the entire journey. And for the first time in a long time, I slipped off of a peak that I've been standing on and I slid into a valley. But I identified it. And I did what I needed to do to change my brain chemistry and change my thought process. And that's why I'm talking to you guys about this today. That's why I wanted to bring it up today because, man, if you guys could see my inbox about people that are writing me about some of the life problems they're dealing with, and these listeners will undoubtedly listen to this episode. And when they hear that I got fucking super depressed because I got in a fight with some people that I love, they're going to think, man, he has no, that's the extent of his problems. You have it fucking easy. And you know what? They're right. Because some of the emails that come my way and I hear about people losing their children and just really, really, really dark things that people have to deal with, I got to remind myself, man, I got it fucking good. I have nothing to complain about. Nothing. But the truth of it is, what brings one person down or what crushes one person, man, we're not playing the comparison game here. Like, yeah, okay, that person has it worse than me, but really, your emotions are your emotions, and sometimes we're out of control with them. And sometimes small things get exasperated, and then sometimes really, really big things just don't seem to bother us as much, right? And I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to it. I've seen kids die where it didn't even make me have an ounce of emotion in it. That was in Ramadi, Iraq. That's back when I was a, 24-year-old guy on the fucking battlefield. Zero emotion to that. I'm pretty sure that would crush me these days. And so how you react to something isn't always necessarily dictated by the situation that's in front of you. Our brains just do crazy shit. And sometimes things really, really, really affect us, and sometimes they don't. But regardless if you're going through something extremely tragic, like the loss of a child, like a divorce from a woman that you love, like losing everything and going broke and having to fucking start from the ground up, like regardless of how severe your problems are, how we interpret it is really what dictates how we navigate the problem. And that's something that every single one of us is dealing with to some capacity. We all have problems, large or small. And I find it fascinating that I allowed a very small problem to become that exasperated. It's almost, the truth is there's a little bit of embarrassment attached to it. Like there's a part of me that's thinking, why are you telling this story on your podcast? But the thing is, you never really know what ones are going to get you and what ones aren't. And so I think it's super important for us to talk about this stuff and be open, because I don't think anyone's immune to it. I don't think anyone is completely 100% immune to it. And when you feel those demons come up out of nowhere and try and grab a hold of you and pull you down, I think the most important thing you can tell yourself is, I've been here before. If I play my cards right, I know how this ends. And then just keep walking forward and navigating life with an understanding that I'm now in a valley and I just got to start climbing, and I'll be to a peak again soon. I think we overthink things, and its foundation, that's basically what we need to think about when we're solving problems. So I'll tell you guys this. I don't need you guys reaching out saying, bro, you good? Are you okay? Like, I appreciate that stuff. I've already identified this as a moment in time, and I've already passed it, and I put it in the rearview mirror, and my soul and my being feels like it did previously. Like, I know I'm good now. But again, when you're in that, it's hard to know if you're ever going to be good. So for you guys that haven't maybe walked that path as many times, and maybe it's the first time that the demons have fucking got their hooks in you, man, realize that it's a choice to be able to move past it. But to move past it, you got to walk through the storm, and you got to start walking towards the light. You do that consistently, you'll start to learn, man, this is just the ebb and flow of life. I think the American way of life is we don't have very many ebbs and flows when it comes to extreme hardships and extreme danger and extreme death. And so when we get hit with some shit, it hits us hard. There's people in Africa that lose people every time they go to the fucking river to get a pail of water. And guess what? They're probably not having suicidal ideations because the world that they navigate is trying to kill them every fucking day. And so we have to understand what's going on. Our brains are prone to create some type of conflict for us. And I think our brains are prone to create conflict even more so when external conflict is not presented to us. You know, we've talked about it on the show a lot. These third world countries that are war torn and impoverished, and people are starving and they're getting fucking eaten by animals. Like, I doubt those countries have the levels of depression or suicide that we see in the Western world. So remember that, guys. There's a reason for that. Now, it's probably also tied back to all the fucking pharmaceuticals that we pump into our bodies. But at the end of the day, we have to realize our brains are fabricating problems because the external world isn't showing us the problems that on an evolutionary basis we're used to dealing with and we're used to processing. And if life is so good that we're manufacturing problems in our brain, we should be fucking grateful for that, right? We all know what the solution is. If your life's so easy that you have to manufacture problems in your fucking brain, go put some real problems in front of you. Go put some jujitsu in front of you. Go put some cold water in front of you. All these little things matter. And it's funny because I sit here and I tell you guys that, and I feel like I do that shit as much or more than almost anybody. And I still slipped. But I slipped for a moment, and I identified it, and I stepped forward, and I was out of it just as fast as I slipped into it. And so remember that, guys. Identify it, implement the proper tools, and walk forward and get the fuck out of there. We all know that's the right solution, but implementing the right solution is much easier said than done. There, I needed a drink of coffee after that fucking rant. That was heavy for me, guys. It was heavy. And part of what I like about this show is being an open book and sharing exactly my truth and my experiences. And sometimes we get drunk and have fun. And sometimes we talk about fucking jiu-jitsu and working out. Sometimes we talk about relationship problems. But sometimes it's important to talk about the darkness, because there's a lot of people right now listening who are still inside of the fucking storm, and it's swirling around you. And as you turn 360 degrees, you see no way out. But the only reason you don't see a way out is because you haven't walked through the storm enough yet to understand that there is light on the other side. So guys, you know, speaking of doing hard things and getting in the ice bath, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you probably saw this. Man, I did a post last week, and it was getting out of my sauna and going right from my sauna, which was, 210 to 215 is where I try and keep it. Then going right into my ice tub. And in Seattle right now, it's freezing temperature. So my ice tub was frozen over, and I didn't do anything crazy. I just said, hey, the physiological benefits of cold water are well documented, but what I like it for is mental toughness. So when I get in the water, I don't make sounds. I don't make faces. I just don't allow myself to feel discomfort, even though I'm entering a very, very, very fucking uncomfortable environment. And for me, it's a mental toughness drill. And I get in the water and I try and just control my breathing. Getting into cold water causes fight or flight to kick in for a lot of people. And a lot of people will wince and they'll gasp, and some people will scream. I have to control myself. Even if I want to express those things, I disallow myself to. And for whatever reason, it's the algorithms of the internet. This was my second fucking viral video, and it was seen over 1 million times, and it got shared thousands of times. Well, when things go viral, you have people that are not your followers, that don't know who you are, that don't live your lifestyle. They start to see it too. It's whatever the algorithm is on Instagram Reels. It just starts showing it more. And the more traction it gets, the more it gets shown. And what that does is it brings people in that don't follow me, and people that don't know my path, and people that aren't familiar with that kind of thing. And when you see someone getting out of a sauna and getting into a frozen barrel and you're not familiar with it, well, some people take that as an opportunity to talk shit and hate on you. And I did a follow-up post that I talked about some of this stuff on. So if you already heard it on Instagram, you can just fucking fast forward the next 5 minutes. But I think it's an important thing to talk about on the show too, because, man, I found a lot of people trying to diminish what I was doing or talk shit about it or pretend that they're experts on some level. And some of the comments were just bizarre. And one comment that I got was, you want to talk about mental toughness? I don't want to hear anything from you until you've beat cancer. And I was shocked at that comment, right? And I don't respond back to these people. When you're an idiot online, I'm not going to get in any type of dialogue or there's nothing to be said back and forth for the most part. But it made me think, man, like, okay, you were diagnosed with cancer through the cards that life dealt you. And it was tragic and it was hard. And according to your comment, it made you develop mental toughness because you were dealing with adversity. And if you're typing on Instagram, I'm assuming you either beat it or perhaps you're still in the fight for your life. I'm not sure. But regardless of where you're at, why would you ever use that as an opportunity to try and tear somebody else down or try and diminish somebody else or make them feel less than? And guys, it goes back to kind of what we said on the suicidal subject. What's hard for one person may not be hard for another, and vice versa. And so there are people right now that getting into a tub of water that's cold, it could literally be the hardest thing that they've ever done in their life. And if they get into that, if they overcome those fears and they step into that water and they endure, don't we think that's something we should celebrate? Isn't that something that should be considered a good thing? One reason I think that the water is always a good tool for mental toughness is because it always, at least for me, I've been doing this for 7 years now, consistently. When I'm about to step in the water, there's still a part of my brain that says, oh, fuck, here we go. Do you have to? Yeah, motherfucker, you do have to. So get in. That little conversation right there, that's what I'm looking for. That little conversation right there is what I'm looking to not only find, but overcome. Because we always have that little weak voice in us that wants to prevent us from doing things simply because they're uncomfortable. Joe Rogan's been talking about it for years. He calls it your inner bitch. And the inner bitch isn't something that you defeat like once and for all. The inner bitch is something that you have to get the upper hand on daily, literally daily. And so if you allow that inner bitch to fucking grow and dictate what you do, and today the inner bitch wins, tomorrow the inner bitch wins, the next day the inner bitch wins, well, you know what's happening? Your power is starting to be diminished and you're becoming a weaker version of yourself. That is why we talk about these things all the time on the show, is that real power and real fortitude, it's earned every single day, period. It's earned every single day through reading, through exercising, through bonding with people, through building community, through ice tubs, through fucking just microdosing your adversity. That's how you keep the inner bitch at bay. And part of my tools to keep the inner bitch at bay is my ice tub. Now, you got the people that want to compare and hate. You're harder than me because you beat cancer. Or you're harder than me because of that or this. And the truth is, I don't give a fuck. Because I know where I am. And I also know where I'm not. I know there's badder men than me out there. I'm not fucking delusional. But I also know that I'm pretty fucking good at a lot of stuff too, because I've earned it. And you have to know your worth, and you have to believe that. But a lot of people don't want you to believe that. And I honestly think when they're in a low vibration and they're in a place of uncertainty about who they are and what they bring to the table, and they see someone else getting into a tub of ice and it's got 1 million views, and most comments are like, wow, dude, that's fucking rad. Whoa, I don't think I could do that. Man, how do you stay so calm? Like most comments are cool people being supportive and being interested. That's the biggest thing. They're being interested, right? People see that and they're like, whoa. What about me? You know what? Yeah, that guy's not that tough. That's not that impressive. Check this out. I beat cancer. So on one hand, you got those guys. Then on the other side, the equal and opposite side, you got the experts. The experts are what fascinate me, because the experts are people that have given their whole fucking lives to people that tell them what to do. And let me explain this. I had people saying, I know a guy that died getting into ice water. And doctors don't recommend this kind of stuff. Medical literature says this is bad for you. This can induce this. This can induce that. All this fear mongering, right? And it's like, motherfucker, I've been doing this for 7 years. So one guy typed that. He goes, getting into ice water can cause severe health issues. This is dumb. And I said, well, after 7 years, I'm just curious what health issues I should be expecting. Of course, I didn't hear back, and I don't care. Like, I don't want to get in some type of debate. I just want to know what he's talking, like, where's your head at with that? Severe health issues. And then someone supported his comment and goes, that's where we're at in today's world, where people don't take the advice from medical professionals and they're just blindly following an Instagram influencer. So if you're one of those people, I want you guys to fucking ask yourself some legitimate questions. What's your doctor look like with his shirt off? What's your doctor's body fat percentage? What's your doctor's mile time? What's your doctor's diet look like? How many medications is your doctor on? Is your doctor looking and like and living a life that you want to aspire to be and that you want to follow? There's a reason people put more weight in some guy on Instagram than their doctor. And maybe it's because a lot of fucking doctors out there are just pushing big pharma bullshit. And they're treating symptoms and they're putting band-aids and they're covering things up. They're not trying to build holistic health from the ground up and make you resistant to getting sick and making you more resilient. Big pharma has fucking all but ensured that that's not going to be the fucking case anymore. They want everybody on every pill fucking possible. So if you want to sit there and you want to fucking tell me that your doctor says getting into cold water is bad for you and that I'm stupid because I do it, I want to see what your doctor looks like with his shirt off. Because I do know some doctors. I had Dr. Brian Sheely on the show. My friend Dr. Sean Baker, who's the proponent of the carnivore diet, is part of my jiu-jitsu team. I know some doctors that are fucking savages. But they're not savages from anything they learned in medical school. They're fucking savages because they train hard, they eat clean, and they do hard shit. And Dr. Brian Sheely gets in the fucking ice with me regularly, almost every time he's over. So if your doctor's a weak fucking bitch and he's promoting a weak fucking bitch approach to life, maybe you should fucking listen to an Instagram influencer over that. Life is not supposed to be fucking easy all the time. When's the last time your doctor told you to go out there and do something really, really, really fucking hard? I'm going to tell you a little story. And I might have told it on the podcast before. And sorry if you don't want me sharing this story, Sheely, but, Sheely is a doctor. He's also my best friend. We talk about everything together. And he had a morbidly obese patient come into his office complaining about diabetes and swollen extremities and all of these issues. And Brian said, well, sure, there's medications that we can give and there's different things that we can do to treat your ailments. But in the foundational issue, what I want you to do is get a lot of sunlight on your skin, get outside, walk as much as you can, start walking every day as much as you can, and start eating meats, fruits, and vegetables. And the last thing I want you to do is make a point of spending time with people that you feel like you love. This is a holistic approach to life. Let's get your mind, body, and spirit on a fucking new trajectory. And the guy went and filed a complaint against him for saying that to him. Because there's motherfuckers out there, they're not looking for a fucking fix. Or I shouldn't say, let me rephrase that. They are looking for a quick fix. They're not looking for a solution. So not only are a lot of the medical professionals broken these days, but a lot of the clientele that's walking through the fucking door, they've been so brainwashed to just, oh, I got this ailment and give me a pill. And then the side effect of that pill causes this ailment, so give me another pill. No, motherfucker, move your body and eat healthy foods and get out in the sun and surround yourself with good people. Well, if you say that to someone, prepare to be standing in front of the fucking board, because I guess that offends people these days. Maybe I'll invite him on the show, see if he'll tell the story or not. But it's just bizarre. It's bizarre that that's where we're at. And so, you know, at the very end, the end of the day, all this boils down to, doesn't matter if we're talking about bullshit on Instagram, doesn't matter if it's looking down the barrel of your Glock or peering over the edge of a 7th floor balcony. At the end of the day, it comes down to trying to maintain a high vibration in your life, a frequency that feels good to be in. We all know as soon as the negative vibes, and when I say negative vibes, I'm not just talking like, hey, how I feel. I think there's literally and chemically something inside of your body that is operating on different frequencies. And sometimes it feels really fucking good, but sometimes those bad low frequencies, they're painful. They fucking hurt. They're like a brick that's fucking been put inside of your chest. When those low vibrations and those negative frequencies get inside of you, dude, it's harder to breathe. It's like the space that fills up your fucking, your chest cavity has been diminished. You literally can't pull as much air into your lungs. It's like your diaphragm is fucking compromised. All of that stuff, large or small, comes down to choice. And if you get online and you see a guy doing something that you don't like and you try and diminish him, what you just did is you lowered your own vibration a little bit. An opportunity to try and make someone else feel worse or less than, all you're doing is doing it to yourself. And so you may be getting this little fucking zing of adrenaline or a little fucking zing of, I don't know what it is. It's almost like people are drawn to conflict, right? I'm going to say something mean. Oh, yes. A little fucking dopamine hit. I said something mean to someone. Oh, here's another one. Yes, I'm going to say something mean to him. Fuck this guy. Oh, yeah, another dopamine hit. Man, you got to ask yourself, what are you gaining from that? You think you're gaining something in the short term, but what you're really doing is you're fucking consistently lowering your own vibration and lowering your own frequency. And guys, that's what they fucking want. Not to go down the fucking New World Order agenda and focus on all that shit right now. But they want all of us in conflict with each other, and they want all of us fucking on that low vibration. And it is important for each and every single one of us to understand this and combat it and fucking stand against it. It's important. It's super fucking important that we do this. You know, I'm going to be going down to First Form here pretty soon and kicking it with Andy again. He invited me to do another show, and I'm really looking forward to this because I think Andy, more than anybody in the world, has shined a spotlight on the fact that the powers to be want us to be a diminished version of ourselves. And if we allow them to do that, if we allow ourselves to fall victim to that, that's our fucking fault. That's our fucking fault. Like the president tweeted this morning. He said, I don't remember it verbatim. I don't have it in front of me, but it was something like, I'm going to pass legislation so interracial couples are finally treated fairly on the federal level. What? There you go. See that? Just tried to lower your vibe a little bit. Tried to make people that are currently in interracial relationships feel like other people that we share the world with. Look at them a little lower. Look at them a little less than. Even though I know right fucking now, every single person listening to this show, every single person. And if you don't agree with me, then maybe you are the problem. But if I went over, or if I had my buddy over and he said, hey, I'm going to swing by. I'm going to bring my girlfriend over. You haven't met my girlfriend yet. She's super fucking rad. I can't wait till you meet her. Cool, man. Come on over. And he walks in with a white chick. He walks in with a Latina. He walks in with a black girl. He walks in with an Asian girl. There is no scenario that can present itself where you would think, oh man, fuck. He's in an interracial relationship. God, I was fucking hoping he'd bring a white girl over. I can't fucking believe that my homie's dating an Asian girl. Like, that is not reality in the fucking world we live in anymore. And if you think it is, pull your head out of your ass, guys, and stop falling for the fucking propaganda that's being force-fed down our throats. Nobody fucking cares who you fuck anymore. Nobody cares what color your skin is. We care about the same shit. We want prosperity. We want love. We want joy. We want peace. But they pit us all against each other. And they do it over and over and over and over until the reality of a lot of people out there in our society is fuck those people. Fuck these people. Fuck this and that. I hate those guys because they hate me. Those guys hate me because I hate them. It's all fabricated. It's all propaganda. Super important to remember. And it's something that I think we need to touch on damn near every fucking episode. Because when I saw that shit, I was like, here we go again. You have the president of the United States just trying to stir the pot. Very subtle fucking pot stir happening. You barely know it, but he still put it out there. So a couple admin notes. Mike Glover's coming back out. He's going to be here, and I don't know if it's listed yet. So if you go try and fucking log in on Fieldcraft and check their courses and it's not there, I apologize. But he's coming back out to my range January 7th, January 8th. I'm sure he'll be staying at my house, and I am going to corner him and ask him to do an episode of the show. He did an episode before 10. He was one of my first podcasts. And when I listened to the early ones, I realized, I fucking suck back then. But it's just like anything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get and the better at it you get. And when Glover comes back on, we're going to fucking slay. Also, I'm going to go down and do he's running the Black Rifle podcast now. And out of Heber, is that how you say that? Heber City, Utah. He invited me to come down and do an episode with them. So be watching out for that. Again, I'm having Joe Kent on soon. We're going to fucking really hear about the campaign and what that process looked like. And, I haven't had a lot of girls on. We've had a few female guests here and there, but I'm having a female law enforcement officer come on she's a local cop here, and I'm not going to go much into her story. I'll let her tell it, but just like a lot of cops, she's trying to find a new passion to fucking break the cycle and do something for herself outside of law enforcement. And when she wrote me that, I said, you know what? We talked a little bit on Instagram about it. And I said, you know what? Why don't you just come on the show and tell me what you're thinking? Because I think that's an important lesson for a lot of people in law enforcement to hear. I mean, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, guys, but at the same time, there is a lot of cops, a lot of military, a lot of first responders that just feel like something's missing. And if you feel that way, nothing's going to present itself to you. You got to go out there and you got to find it. And that's kind of where she's at. And I'm excited to hear her story. Last thing I'll say, our new apparel line is out. We have our No One's Coming to Save You hoodies, which are at my Jiu-Jitsu Academy website. Link in the show notes below. And then guys, all of Guns and Geese for 2023 have been scheduled. And so we used to just schedule one class at a time and it would fill up and we'd run it. and then we'd schedule another one and it'd fill up and we'd run it. And we thought, you know what, instead of always just scheduling one at a time, because if you do that and you put one date out, that date either works for people or it doesn't. So they're in or they're out. I think this is going to be more conducive to giving people opportunities to get the training they're looking for. So Class 7 is March 3rd through 5th down in New Orleans. Class 8 is May 12th through 14th, also New Orleans. Class 9, July 14th through the 16th here in Seattle. Class 10, August 25th through August 27th here in Seattle. And Class 11, November 3rd through the 5th back in New Orleans. That fucking program, I mean, last week's episode went in depth on it, so I'm not going to fucking go too far into it. But that program really encompasses everything we talk about on the show. Capability, friendship, camaraderie, health, fitness, love, becoming a better version of yourself each and every fucking day. The more people that go through it, the bigger it gets, the more momentum it builds. Because guys, we're not selling snake oil. People see it for what it is. Real knows real. That's a Joao Assis, who's the jiu-jitsu instructor for the Guns and Geese program. I'm his assistant instructor. That's his saying, real knows real. When you meet someone and you look them in the eyes and you shake their hands, man, if they're a real motherfucker and you share that with them, you know it immediately. And what we find in the Guns and Geese program, man, real knows real. People aren't signing up for that because they're full of shit people, because they're bullshit people. They're signing up for that because they say, I'm going to take a weekend of my life and I'm going to challenge myself. And it's fucking exciting. Last thing I'll say on that, guys, we have, with the help of Vortex Optics, Vortex sponsored the program and helped us make this happen. We now offer everything inclusive. You don't have to show up with a fucking thing. You can show up in board shorts and flip-flops, and we got you set. You're going to get an Ex-Umbris gun belt. You're going to get an Allegiance holster and mag pouches. You're going to get a Moya brand gi and everything you get to keep except our Glocks. We have Glocks now for all of our students, and they are outfitted with the Vortex red dot optics because red dot optics on pistols are the way of the future, non-negotiable. That's the truth. I can fucking get into the weeds with you guys about that, but I'm telling you, as someone that's been shooting for 20 years, my pistol shooting increased dramatically. Fucking dramatically. I can hit 50-yard headshots with a Glock all fucking day now. I've never been able to do that. I didn't even think the gun was capable of that. But, so that's what we're running. With that said, if you're already a gun guy or a gun gal and you have your own equipment, you have your own gear, show up with your shit, run your shit. You know, like people say, oh, train as you fight, right? Like, yeah, if you got your stuff and you got it set up the way you like and the way that you want to run it, please bring your own stuff. However, we're not going to start giving different price points based on what gear you want to bring. Our new price point is set what it is, and it comes with all of this equipment, but we're not giving you bullshit equipment. It's top of the line stuff. So if you already have some stuff, come down, train, get some new stuff, see what you think. And I think you're going to find, just like everybody else that's attended the course, that it's fucking powerful and that you leave there being a better version of yourself. And so that is it. The registration for that is also going to be in the show notes below, and you can check that out. And guys, I look forward to fucking meeting you, training with you, all that stuff. I've had a lot of people that are listeners of the podcast come to my Jiu-Jitsu Academy just to come train for a night. And bro, that's what it's all about. That's what makes it fucking fun, is that I'm building a community through this weird internet microphone that I sit in my bedroom alone and I talk into. And then night after night after night, people walk onto my mats and they're like, bro, dude, I'm in town visiting my aunt and I'm a fan and I wanted to know if I can get around with you. And the answer is, fuck yes, you can get around with me. That's what it's all about. You might beat me. I might beat you. I don't give a fuck what the outcome is. I just want to share space with good people. And my mat room's open to all of you. Thank you guys. That's a wrap for today. And we'll be back next week with the guests that I just spoke about.